What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning Podcast. Today, we're going to be grading every first-round pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. Without further ado, let's hop into it.
On the field, he was a top 10, like 10th best quarterback.
I disagree. I think as soon as he hit the playoffs, he looked like a bottom 10 quarterback.
Okay.
That counts.
Okay, you love Justin Herbert.
The 2-minute warning.
So at the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers selected Bryce Young. What grade do you have for this pick?
I've given it an A-, and I know people might
No,
think
you're not.
that's... Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's a bit harsh, but, a lot of people, I can see why Panthers fans might want this higher. I think this is a year too early to grade Bryce Young. I think you need to grade after year 3, but from what I saw on the field the second half of last season, he looked like a legitimate franchise quarterback, and he has not sustained that, which is why it's obviously still an A-, and I believe, they could have made a better pick here, obviously, so it's not like an A+ or anything, but I don't know. The jury's still out on Bryce Young. Could be a franchise quarterback, also might just be whatever.
Well, if you stuck around after that terrible take, we appreciate it because I'm sorry you had to sit through that, but... I cannot believe you gave him an A-, anywhere near an A-. That's insanity to me. This is a guy that, looked like one of the worst picks of all time in his first season. Obviously, he's a rookie.
We're not grading him after the first season. We're grading him after his second season.
And then in the beginning of his second season, he got benched for Andy Dalton. He looked so bad. He came back, looked okay at some parts of the season. Never looked like, a franchise guy necessarily. Obviously didn't have a ton around him, but just really has not showcased that much. And other times he's looked absolute garbage. Like you said, towards the back half of the year, he got better. Still wasn't good.
Yes, he was.
Just a little bit average to below average. The reason I say this,
You need to watch Bryce Young.
no, I have.
You need to watch
and
his
so
actual film.
for all these reasons, and him being number 1 overall, I don't think you're giving that any credit. He was the number 1 overall pick, and they took this guy, and you just gave it an A-.
I think he's a top 5 player in the class that they could have picked.
Oh my!
This is not that stacked of a class.
This is not a good pick. This is not a good pick.
Yes, it is.
Because you could have taken a better player at his own position. You could have taken a better player at 1 easily. This isn't a guy I would consider him a top 10. I don't understand the pick at all. I gave it a D+.
What? A D+? Okay. You can't give it any lower than a C+. A C+ would be ridiculous. He's proven so much. He proved so much.
I was like, okay, maybe a C-. That's the only thing I was considering. There's no way I'm giving it higher than that because
that's crazy.
I think it's a bad pick. I don't want to take a player of this caliber at 1. He showcased so much bad in these first 2 seasons, and I do agree, but it's too early to grade it. I for a guy who showcased so much bad, and you have to agree, he's showcased a ton of terrible,
but
not just bad play. Garbage play. And obviously, rookies need time to develop, not when it's that bad. That is not a good sign at all.
Well,
because
he did need time to develop because he developed after he got time.
But developing to 3 decent games is not developing.
He had 7 good games.
No, he did not.
You have to watch the games. You can't just be a box score watcher.
And I have watched the games.
He's pushing the ball downfield. He's making good throws. He's putting his team in position to win against great teams like the Eagles.
He is a bottom half of the league quarterback.
Barely.
I think it's a lot lower than you, and you also think if you take a bottom half of the league quarterback, you are not a number 1 overall pick. Therefore, it is a bad pick.
If a quarterback is the 17th best quarterback or the 18th best quarterback after his second season, that's not a bad pick.
We had 4 quarterbacks this season that were already better than that in your eyes. Or 3, sorry.
I don't know.
You have 3 quarterbacks
this
after
is a really
year 1.
Good draft class. And they were all put into good situations.
And obviously this class isn't good, but
Drake May is the only one in this class who was put into a bad situation.
I have 4 A+ coming down this board, and they got a player who is a bottom half of the league quarterback at 1. I'm not happy. This is a bad pick.
This is not a bad pick.
This is a bad pick.
This is just not a bad pick.
It is a bad pick. So you would be happy if you were the Panthers and you took a quarterback who's below average at 1.
If I was a Panthers fan, I'd be happy.
I don't know how that makes any sense. You know why I wouldn't be happy? Because I have a bottom half of the league quarterback that we wasted our number 1 overall pick on.
If you were a Panthers fan, you'd have Bryce Young where you have Bo Nix.
No, I would not.
You would definitely.
Okay, so if he's bad this year, then what happens?
Then my next year's grading the 2023 draft will be a different grade.
Okay, well, you admit that he's not all that if he's not good this season.
Obviously.
Because this is the make or break season.
Yeah, I know. That's why I think we're grading Bryce Young a year too early.
Yeah, well, I agree because I think it's going to be lower than this the next season because you're going to look back and be like, holy crap, they just gave up the number 1, another first 2 seconds in DJ Moore for a guy who's not going to be around in 3 seasons. Because I do not think he'll be on the Panthers in 3 seasons because he won't be good enough to start.
That's actually crazy.
Maybe he has a backup, but I don't think they'd re-sign him. I think he would go somewhere else trying to find an opportunity.
That's crazy.
I think he's going to be like obviously I think he's better than this player, but how Zach Wilson's been going around trying to find a chance to start. Work away into start. He's on the Dolphins now, maybe because he's hoping Tua gets hurt or something. But, and I think that's the role that Bryce Young will fill in a few seasons, which is a terrible pick at number 1 overall.
Obviously, but he's not going to.
Okay, he's a bottom half of the league starter already.
Barely. Already? What do you mean? What? Xavier Legette dropping 18 passes every game?
That's just not true. He doesn't get thrown that much.
He did. He got so many targets.
Because Bryce Young's dumb and throws him the ball.
Because Bryce Young has no one to throw to.
He's got Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen played 8 games this year.
Yeah, and he was good in all. He played 10 actually, and he was good in all 10 of those.
No, he definitely was not.
Yes, he was. Just like to take a moment to ask you guys to subscribe, like the video, comment down below. We love responding to all of you guys. We love building a community out here, and we want to turn this podcast stream into a reality. We thank you guys for all the support, but without further ado, let's hop back into it. So with the second pick, the Texans took C.J. Stroud. I'm really interested to see what you give a grade here for.
I give it an A, and I had him above Bryce Young in my quarterback rankings. He's proved it for longer. Take him at 2. I think you could put him at A+, but just the step back he took, it wasn't obviously he was still a good quarterback last year, but he did take a step back. So I want to see it for another year for C.J. Stroud before I give it an A+. I don't know how hard of a take that is. He did take his team to the playoffs 2 years in a row. He just won a playoff game, even though it was obviously a worse year for him. Obviously, I want my quarterback to be better than Stroud, but after 2 seasons, there's not much more you can ask for than taking your team to the playoffs twice, winning Rookie of the Year. I just think A is pretty fair. I bet you gave an A+.
Easily an A+. This wasn't even a conversation for me. It's kind of crazy to me how contradictive that your 2 statements were so far. First you're like, oh, I saw back half of the year, I saw really good play with C.J. Stroud.
No, that's why C.J. Stroud's an A, because I saw a year of really good play.
Yeah, I mean,
and it was
you saw a year of way better play than Bryce Young's second half of the season. Not close.
I think it's pretty close.
Very, very good quarterback play in his rookie season. Obviously took a step back, not because of his own fault necessarily. Still was a good quarterback, like you said. Don't know how it's not an A+. Easily a better pick than Bryce Young. You got him 1 spot later. That has to add value to it. He was the second quarterback taken off the board and way better than the first. So this is just a really, really good pick by the Texans. Obvious pick at the time, but he was obviously going to go 2. I think that 6 months before, it was a conversation, and then for the last 6 months before the draft, they were just Bryce Young's going 1, and so the Texans got him the whole time. But what's funny though is the Texans wanted Bryce Young. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
They wanted Bryce Young, and they were trying to do everything to get him. And so they just settled for Stroud, and now Stroud's way better, and now they're like, oh yeah, we love Stroud. So
he's not way better.
I mean, he is. It's not close. But I mean, C.J. Stroud was a big reason this team transformed in 2 seasons. Second overall pick to making playoffs back-to-back years. Playoff win back-to-back years.
Did they win
big reason for
first
that
year? I thought they got first round.
Then
by
they
the Ravens.
killed the Browns in their first game.
That doesn't really count. It does not count.
I didn't know winning by 30 doesn't count.
Against the Browns.
Yeah, they were a good team that year. They won 11 or 12 games.
That was with Watson. Watson was playing like garbage.
Joe Flacco was playing, and he was on fire.
Oh, at the end of the year, right?
But I mean, obviously he's a huge reason for that. Bryce Young, obviously in a little bit worse of a situation.
A little bit.
But
that's crazy.
He hasn't been able to transform his team into anything, and that's a big thing for quarterbacks. You want them to be able to raise their situation no matter how bad it is. And C.J. Stroud was able to do that. And now, obviously, he's in a really good situation. Well, not really. Not really good situation. The line is terrible, but in a better situation weapons-wise, because now this is a destination people want to come to. They want to play with a guy like C.J.
They drafted every receiver that they have that's good.
I mean, they signed Stephon last year. They signed
out.
Kirk this year.
That's not a big
They
sign.
signed a tight end last year.
Kirk got cut.
They signed Joe Mixon last year. So they signed a lot of the weapons on their offense. The only receiver that's good that they drafted was Nico Collins, and I guess Tank Dell.
And they drafted Jaden Higgins this year, who I think is going to be really good. He's their number 2
I forgot
right
about
now,
that.
right?
He's really good, too.
And they took Noel in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the last 2 seasons. Like last year, their whole offense was basically free agents besides Nico. So, I don't know. I think that this is... everyone wants to play CJ, and that's valid because he's a really good quarterback. He's a good leader. So I'm excited to see where he goes, and I think he's going to take another, or hopefully a step forward this season. He obviously took one backwards, but maybe a bit of a sophomore slump. That's what I'm betting on. So can't wait to see where he goes.
Interesting.
Pick number 3, though, we're sticking with the Texans. We got Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah, it's an A plus.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hesitant on that.
What?
It's between A and A plus.
This
Like
is
he hasn't
easily an
hasn't
A+.
proved he hasn't proved he's in that top end of pass rushers.
It's his second
Yeah, I know.
season.
So that's why it's a top 3 pick. I gave it an A plus, and you're complaining. That's
You said
crazy.
it's an obvious A+. You said you were thinking.
Yeah, but
you're
he's like
hesitant.
the second best pass rusher on his team.
No, he's not. He's better than
He's
Hunter.
not better than Hunter.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He made Hunter so much better. Hunter was not that good the
Yes, he
season
was.
before. He was like
He was.
He
on
was
the
good.
Vikings,
He
was really
he was
good.
he was
He was really good on the Vikings.
he was worse than he was on the Texans.
No, he wasn't. He was better on the Vikings.
No,
Yes, he was.
Yeah, in his prime, not the year before though.
No, the year before he was better. He had a really good year before he left the Vikings.
I think that Will Anderson's phenomenal. He showcases everything you want. Even his rookie year, I think he showcased a lot. Didn't have a ton of like jump out sack numbers, but he was really freaking good. And then took a huge step this last season. Had double digits, I think, sacks, maybe just under. Him and Hunter, obviously,
Hunter had 14 sacks this year.
I think him and Hunter are obviously the best pass rush duo in the league. Very, very good. This is a guy, I mean, it's his second season. I think he just turned 23 or something. And he's already this good. He plays on a hell of a defense, too, so that's going to help him throughout his whole career. Just keep getting better. And this is an easy A+ for me because this is going to be a guy, I mean, we both predicted it in our, like, top 30 thing, too. Like, this is going to be a top 5 pass rusher one day, easily. And
You hope.
And I think he will be, and so that's an easy A+ if that's the player you're getting. And I think he's already there's already a really good argument to say he's top 10. And so that's like if you got a top 10 pass rusher after year 2, that's a really good pick. Like phenomenal pick. You got anything to add?
I said stuff at the beginning.
Okay, I was just wondering before we moved on. This is another interesting one. I think this is a funny one. We got Anthony Richardson to the Colts.
I mean, it's just probably like D-. Like, he still has a chance to be good.
No, he does not.
Yes, he does.
No, he doesn't.
He has a chance to be good. He's in the situation to be good. He has a really good supporting cast. That team, if he's good, is going to be really... I think the Colts supporting cast is probably the most underrated supporting cast in the NFL.
I agree.
Their offensive line's consistently good. They have like 3 good receiving options. And now they got Tyler Warren. They got Jonathan Taylor.
They have a really good offense.
Drafted DJ Giddens.
That's not helpful.
Yeah, I don't know. If he's ever going to be good, he's going to be good this year. I don't know if he'll actually start just because Daniel Jones might be better than him. But, like, it's a D-. Like, I think next year this will be an F. But he still has a chance to prove stuff. Like, if you're an F, that just means I think that your whole career, like, you're done. But with Anthony Richardson, he's athletic enough that even if he can't make it work out at quarterback, there's a chance he could make it work out at other positions. He could maybe mature a bit from what he did at the end of the year where he subbed himself out of the game. But he has a chance to be good still. Like, when you took him at 4, you knew he wasn't going to be good right away. And his first
It feels like they did not think that for some reason.
Then they're dumb.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just saying that's not what they thought. Clearly, remember when like he played better for like 2 games, so they benched him for Flacco.
He's never played. I think it was 4 games in a row.
Yeah, that's also a lot because of injuries,
Yeah, he gets hurt. He gets benched.
which is going to continue to happen. It's unfortunate,
No,
but
but
the
you
way he
don't
plays,
know.
that's what's going to happen.
You don't know.
He throws his body into everyone. Of course, you're going to
He's
get
big.
hurt. Okay, that's clearly not helping him.
We'll see.
This is an F- for me.
Whoa, F-?
This is the worst quarterback I've ever watched play. Genuinely,
Dorian Thompson-Robinson?
he's up. He might be worse.
No,
like
he's not.
at playing quarterback, he is. At running, he's
No,
better.
he's not.
honestly.
Trust me.
He's worse at playing quarterback.
I think it was 2 games or 3 games DTR. Like, his first 3 games starting, he didn't complete a pass past, I think it was like 8 yards downfield.
And I don't think Anthony Richardson has completed a pass behind the line of scrimmage.
That doesn't matter.
Like, that is so unbelievably sad. This is a guy that I just thought was such a stupid pick at the time. Like, 50% in college. If you have a 50% completion in college, you're not going to be able to complete it much in the NFL. He's had almost no experience since playing from high school. I saw something like the amount of games he's played since high school, and it's like insanely low. Like, I felt like it was around 20 or something, or maybe less.
It was probably around like 2025.
Yeah, like that
Because
is
he started
so
one
low.
season at Florida.
They
and
started
then
one
he's
season at
played,
Florida.
like,
He's
8
played like
games in the
yeah.
NFL.
So like he's barely done anything. That guy could easily be less than 20 because college you sometimes play like 10 to 12 games. So it's around 20. That's so unbelievably low. So obviously you want your guy to get more playing time to be able to develop and stuff. But this is a guy that on the field every single time I've gotten a chance to watch him play, it's just so many ginormous red flags that you do not want to see. And we talk about it all the time. Every single guy that's super young and developing, there should be some red flags on, like there's always going to be some sort of red flag. Okay, they got to work on this. They got to work on this. They got to work on this. And Richardson, it's like, Duke's got to learn how to throw the football. That is not what I want to hear from my
He can
quarterback.
throw it. He can sling
Accurately.
He can sling it downfield accurately.
Every once in a while, like,
He has a good deep ball.
yeah, he's got a really pretty deep ball when it hits. He misses a lot more deep balls than people act like because he makes the
He's a good
highlight
deep
play.
ball thrower.
Like in week 1, he had that crazy highlight. He missed like 4 other deep balls in that game that just don't get talked about because guess what? He hit the one. And then he also had like a 30-something% completion percentage in that game. Like, that is so bad. You're not going to win football games playing like that. And yes, he's so athletic. He's one of the best athletes of all time. He runs really well. That only gets you so far if you can't throw the ball. I don't really understand, why people liked him so much coming out of college because, in my opinion, for all the hate that Lamar gets of just being a running back, that's just what Richardson actually is. Richardson is just what people acted like Lamar was when he was coming out and when he started playing. And, people still act like Lamar's that for some reason. Oh, he's just a running back. He can't throw. Lamar's got one of the best arms in the NFL along with that. That's why he's so good. Anthony Richardson has no brain, no offense, no brain, no processing. He's not accurate. And I think he's a worse runner than Lamar, even though he's more athletic. So I just don't understand liking him at all. I think there's zero possibility he's good. He showed me everything I need to see. I'm looking for a new quarterback already. I don't want him to play for me. And now he's not even going to be at training camp. He's going to come in rusty. He's going to get benched by week 5 if he starts. So there's just zero possibility that this guy is ever a good starter, ever better than a bottom 5 starter in the league, in my opinion. So taking him at 4, this is the worst pick of the draft by far.
No, I get what you mean. Like, if this was his career, and this is like...
And I think it will be.
Yeah, if this was his career, it's an easy F-. But, like, he still has a chance. He, as you said, does not have very much experience. As he gets more experience, maybe he learns, maybe he gets better. So he still has that chance, which is why it's a D- for me still. But obviously, yeah, he's proven absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if I was drafting him, I would not have played him in year 1. Like,
I agree with you. But I also think because of how they've handled the situation with him, it makes the pick worse. Because they are the ones that drafted him. They should have handled it. And it's unfortunate for him. I don't think it would have worked out either way, but you would at least had a small chance. And now I don't think you have a chance because of the way you've done it and the way you've gone about it. And I just don't like anything about the player. And so, like, yeah, you could say, like, there's a small... I think anyone has a small chance to be good still when you're this young. But ultimately, like, I think you would bet that he's almost guaranteed not going to be.
Well, obviously.
And so I'm giving it an F- because that's what I think is going to happen.
Be really good.
Yeah, and then obviously I would change the grade. But I don't...
That's what I said about Bryce Young.
But
if he was bad, I'd obviously change the grade.
Yeah, but like that's different because
No, it's
I'm
not.
talking about what he's doing right now, and you're talking about what you think he's going to do in the future.
What I think who's going to do?
Bryce Young, and I'm talking about what I see right now. From
If I
Anthony
was doing
Richardson.
what I think it would be in the future, the minus would not be there.
F-?
No, the A minus. It'd just be
Oh
A.
my lord! But remember when I said that Bryce Young's one of the worst quarterbacks I ever watched in his rookie season? The guy that beat him there for that spot is Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson was not that bad in his rookie year. His second year, like last year,
He was so bad his rookie year.
his rookie year, he had like a 60% completion percentage.
He barely played.
Yeah, but last year it was 48.
Yeah, it was so like looking at his
Next
stats.
worst starter was 60%.
You realize his stats actually look like Nathan Peterman, like was playing football, and like that's known as one of the worst players of all time.
He's still in the league.
Like, why are we not talking about this guy? It's just dumb to me. But let's move on to number 5. This should have been the Broncos pick. Seahawks take Devon Witherspoon. What are you giving it?
It's a very fascinating pick. I think you could give a wide range of grades for him.
100%.
I gave it a B. I don't know. I know Seahawks fans are going to be really mad.
Mm-hmm.
But top 5 corners, Jalen Ramsey,
He's not
Patrick
close.
Peterson. I'm trying to think of every corner going in the top 5. Sauce Gardner, Stingley, all those guys are miles ahead of Devon Witherspoon. Like, Witherspoon, like, corners don't go top 5. And when they do, they're, like, phenomenal prospects. I never thought Witherspoon was. I always liked Gonzalez better. Witherspoon plays a lot of slot. That's a lot less valuable than other outside corners. And while he has turned into a pretty good player, it's like, how high can I give that when you took a slot/outside corner who's like the 20th best corner in the NFL at 5? Like, that's insane. Obviously, he's really good blitzing. But when that's what you're talking about as a corner, I mean, obviously he's not getting like beat or anything. But like when you're talking about how good he is at blitzing, like that's just not a good pick in the top 5 in my opinion. I mean, it's a good pick, but like I gave it a B still, but I just don't really understand the people who are giving it A's personally.
Yeah, obviously, I think Seahawks fans. I've seen Seahawks fans give it like an A plus, A. Lowest Seahawks fans, like lowest people I see are like A minus. Like I really don't see even just non-Seahawks fans overrate this guy quite a bit. I give it a B minus, not even just a B.
Interesting.
I think like honestly, like he's a good player, but for where he went, I actually don't think this was a good pick. Like I think it was like a average pick maybe. But like because of the player, I gave it a little bit more. But like for the value, the positional value, where like the other like Christian Gonzalez is in this draft, he went 10 picks later. You have to look at or more than 10 picks
12.
Later. You have to look at all those factors and like honestly, if you gave it lower, I don't even think it's a bad thing to do. And obviously, that's gonna make people really upset. But if you actually go watch this guy on the field, like yes, he's a good corner, but like you said, like even a guy like Sauce Gardner's miles ahead of him, and I think Sauce Gardner's like just barely top 10, just around the top 10 mark. Because I think there's 6 corners that are in a league of their own compared to everybody else. I think it's Surtain, Stingley, Jalen Johnson, Trent McDuffie. Did I forget someone?
I don't know where you're getting 6.
Wait, maybe it was 4 then.
It's definitely 4.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought 6, but I've done it before, and like Sauce is like around the 8 to 11 range every single time.
I'd say he's probably about 6.
Even if you think I don't think Devin Witherspoon has any argument to be in the top 10.
Definitely not.
I don't even think he's top 15. So it's like, it's hard. Like you're taking a not top 15 corner at top 5. That's not a great pick. He's shown a lot of signs. Obviously, you still want him to develop more and stuff. I forgot Christian Gonzalez. That's the 5th. I don't think I said him. But I think that. I don't know. It's just the most like mid pick of all time to me. Like it's a good player, but he's nothing phenomenal. Seahawks fans acting like this is like one of the best corners in the league. He's just not. He's one of the best tackling corners in the league, and he's really good and like run support and stuff. But like his coverage leaves a lot to be desired, and that's mainly what you want from a corner. And like I said, he's still a good player, but he's never going to be a superstar corner, and he's never going to be the leader of your defense if you're going to have a good defense. So I just think it was a mid pick overall.
Yeah, completely agree.
Number 6, though, we got our first lineman going off the board. We got the Cardinals taking Paris Johnson Jr.
I gave it a B+. He's developed into a pretty good lineman. I believe he's their best lineman already, but I don't know. I don't know if I can give it higher just because he hasn't shown to be like the top of like one of the best linemen in the NFL or really that close. He's just like a slightly above average tackle, which at 6 in their second season, it's a really good pick. So I just gave it a B+.
Yeah, I also gave it a B+. Like you said, he's just a guy that's developing. Looked good so far, and you hope he continues to get better, obviously. But even if he didn't, you still have like a solid tackle. So it's never going to be a bad pick necessarily, but obviously you hope this turns into an even better pick if he continued to develop and continue to get better. And tackles are so valuable. But if he did, then this would be a really good pick. This could easily go up in the future, depending on how much he can develop over the next couple of years. And this is a team as a whole that you really want to develop over the next couple of years. So hopefully he can develop with them and give Kyler somebody on that line to let him run around like crazy, So yeah, but number 7, we had the Raiders taking Tyree Wilson.
It's a really weird pick.
Yeah.
I did not like Tyree Wilson. I didn't understand the hype, and he goes at 7.
Yeah.
I just give it an F. I don't know what you're gonna give it. He's shown nothing. And I just I obviously liked Anthony Richardson, so I feel like he still has a chance to be good. I never thought Tyree Wilson would be good. Like this is not surprising at all. He's like a fine run defender, if that, and he's a terrible pass rusher. He's not gonna start for them this year. The only reason why he started last year was because Kuntz got hurt. And it's like you took a third-string edge rusher who's not a good third-string edge rusher. He's only a third-string edge rusher because he plays for the Raiders and that terrible defense. I just don't really. What did you give it?
I gave it a D-.
Okay.
I don't think F's crazy. The only reason I gave D-, kind of what you were talking about with Richardson, but I think there's just more of a possibility. There's like still a tiny chance that he could turn into something. He's very athletic, and if he ever learns how to use that, like we've seen guys who were bad in first year, maybe 2 years, come out and be like at least good, decent pass rushers. I think there's another guy in this draft who was really bad his rookie season, and then he was able to come out and be a good pass rusher for next season. So, obviously he was further down the board than this guy, but you still want to hope that he can do something if you're a Raiders fan. Obviously, I don't think that's what's going to happen. That's why I have it a D minus. But because there's that tiny chance, and I think it's way easier to put it all together as an edge rusher than to, like a quarterback, for example. So I think there's that tiny chance, and if he was able to do it, then obviously this would start moving up. But I didn't give it an F quite yet, even though I think that's totally valid because he really hasn't shown anything besides the fact that he's athletic.
Yeah.
Number 8, though, I feel like this one might make some people mad with my
People are going to
grade.
be mad.
I feel like people are going to just have very different opinions. No matter what you said, people would be mad at this grade. Number 8, Bijan Robinson to the Falcons. What do you got?
Give it a B+. I mean, really good running back. Like, we both had him as RB6 in the NFL. So it's a lot of it's about the fact that the running back's not very valuable, in my opinion. Like, obviously, Bijan's a difference maker at running back, which is a bit different than just the position in general. But they've needed a pass rusher for forever. They needed a player on defense who could make a difference outside of A.J. Terrell at the time because they had no one on that. They had, like, I'm trying to remember who it was that they dropped. Arnold Lebekady didn't really do anything. They drafted a couple of players last year who didn't do anything on the defensive line, but they haven't had a good edge rusher since I can remember. And they didn't take one again, and they took a running back when Algier just ran for over 1,000 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, very efficient runner. They didn't really need to upgrade, in my opinion, so it wasn't a need. And Bijan isn't a top 5 running back or a top 3 running back, which is kind of what you'd want if you took him top 10. So I just think they could have went other ways, like the guy who gets taken next in Jalen Carter. I think that would have been a way better pick for them.
Obviously, yeah. That's what I was going to bring up. Like this, I gave it a B instead of a B+. Very similar. Very close to B+, was considering. Main reason being the same thing you said. Like, this is just a running back. No matter, like, if you're a running back that's, in my opinion, if you're not top 3, you shouldn't be taking him in top 10. Like, if you don't, like, I don't think he's going to be top 3. If that makes sense. And so, like, obviously, I think a lot of people think he's top 5. I think people even think he's the 3rd best running back in the league. I think that's a little too high for him. But even if you want to argue he's top 5, I still don't think that this is an A-worthy pick because, like you said, you kind of have to look at where he's taken and who went next. And one of their biggest needs is just the D-line in general. You talk about pass rusher, but also just D-line, especially with Grady Jarrett gone now. Obviously, he wasn't gone then, but
He was like 32 then.
yeah,
They
but
needed to get rid of him.
you still had to realize, like, look towards the future, like, hey, we have no one in the interior of that defensive line. Next pick is one of the best interior D linemen, one of the best interior D lineman prospects we've seen, not to mention the fact he's one of the best interior D linemen in the league now. So it's crazy that you pass on that for a running back, no matter how good that running back is. But yes, he's still a phenomenal player. Like, this is a very talented player. He's top 6 at his position. Like, that's not to go misunderstood. We're not saying Bijan is a bad player here. We just think that there's more value you could have gotten from this pick, which is why the grade does end up suffering. If we were grading just the player, like not really the pick, but just the player, I think he'd easily be an A grade because he is an A-worthy player. But you have to look at the pick, and I think that's what's going to be kind of upsetting to people. But if they look at it from that perspective, I think they'll see that, you don't want to take a running back this high. But number 9, let's talk about Jalen Carter to the Eagles. Of course, he fell to the Eagles here.
Yeah, I think this is the only number 1 player on my board that's ever fallen out of the top 3.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. And he goes at 9. Like, I know he had like a bit of like stuff come up before the draft, but it wasn't anything crazy. I think he was.
We've seen worse.
I mean, it was pretty crazy, but I think they were like racing and someone died, but that was accidental. Like, it's not like he was like, ooh, let's have like a race and like bumper cars on the highway or whatever. It was like, oh, he went 90 or whatever. I don't know, probably over 100. But anyway, That's not the worst thing ever. Like, you could have a lot worse of issues to go all the way down at 9 when you're supposed to go like top 5. That's crazy. And the Eagles get him. He's developed into easily a top 3 defensive tackle in the league in his 2nd season. Probably the 2nd best pass rushing defensive tackle. And like, so many of these teams could have used him. What?
Not probably. Easily the 2nd best.
Okay, well, I was just thinking about it. I just like threw out a number.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an argument to say he's up there with Sexy. He's really good at rushing the passer. I think Sexy's just a better at run stuffing, like, by quite a bit. But like you said, easily top 2. This guy's insane. Like, he's very good, and it's his 2nd season. Like, imagine when he takes another step this upcoming year, and he's still super young. Like, they're gonna have him for such a long time. This is like it might be easily the best pick of the draft.
Definitely.
Obviously, I think that so many teams could have taken him here. Like, I still would have given this an A plus if the Seahawks took him at 5.
I would have given an A+ if the Panthers took him at 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Well,
that makes sense.
maybe just an A.
I would have
But
given
at
an
2,
A
it would have
plus.
been A+ easily.
And like that's why some of these other grades have suffered. You're
Mm-hmm.
letting this guy fall when everyone agreed this is like a top 3 player in the draft, if not number
Mm-hmm.
1. But we're just a little scared about the issues. That again and again seems to bite people in the butt when they let a player that's so obviously really good fall. So hopefully people stop doing it and giving the Eagles amazing players. But it seems it happened again this year. Jahad Campbell. Hopefully it didn't, because this team is just going to keep getting ridiculously stacked. So number 10, we have Darnell Wright here. What grade did you give it?
I give it a B-. I mean, he's a solid tackle, but he hasn't shown to be like, I know Paris Johnson Jr. has shown to be an actually difference making, whether it be like not like crazy difference making, but he's still an above average tackle, and I don't think Darnell Wright's there yet. I know Bears fans seem to love him, even though they think their line was terrible last year. Apparently, Darnell Wright's phenomenal. I don't feel like he was that good. Braxton Jones on the other side is about at the same level, and I feel like people just basically blame everything on him. I don't know why everybody loves Darnell Wright so much, but he's still a fine player, and taking an average tackle at 10, it's not the worst pick. It's just fine.
Yeah, I gave it a B. I think he's a decent to good player. Like you said, this is like the one guy on their line for the last couple seasons that the Bears fans don't complain about when they like to make excuses for their quarterbacks. But I'm a big preacher of the fact that this Bears offensive line was not bad last season, and they had the money and the ability to replace a ton of those positions on the offensive line, and that's because their offensive line wasn't like special or anything, and the players they had, like the personnel, I definitely think the personnel was below average, but I think Darnell Wright actually did really help to make this line a little bit better than it could have been. I still think he's a good player. I'm not saying he's like phenomenal or anything, but at 10, getting a good tackle is a good pick in my opinion. Obviously, it could have been better, but you also get traded down from 1. You got a ton of value, still able to get this guy. And I just think it's definitely not a bad pick to ever get a starting caliber tackle for your team for a long time. So I think it's a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
Number 11, though, we have another offensive lineman, Peter Skoronski.
I give it a B. It's obviously, he's another guy who hasn't proven to be like a good starter or anything, but it's hard to look good when your whole line sucks. And Skoronski was a prospect who I really liked, and I think I think he deserves a chance at tackle. Like, I know they just signed Dan Moore, so that kind of makes it not going to happen, but they should have given him a chance when they had the chance, But he's been a fine guard for them, and he has his flexibility to go all 5 positions on the offensive line, which is extremely valuable. And as the offensive line gets better, I think Skoronski is going to get a lot better.
Yeah, that's what you hope, obviously. He kind of got put in a situation where he just didn't have help, and you want this guy to keep developing. And even if he's just like a solid guard, it's around a B. I think you obviously hope he's going to develop more, but like I said, you get a solid starting offensive lineman. It's never necessarily a bad thing, even if you could have done better. So solid pick for sure. Number 12, though, another weird one. We got Jahmyr Gibbs.
I give it an A. I'm kind of like, I don't feel great about that, but he's a top 3 back. Is that what I put? Yeah. Top 3 back in the NFL. Looked so good, especially when David Montgomery got hurt. He's so good in the pass game. He can just open up your whole offense. And taking that at 12 versus 8 is a big difference that people are not going to understand, probably. I think people are going to be like, well, Bijan's the same good, just as good, and you gave him a worse grade. But most of that's just because this is a good range to take a running back, in my opinion. If he's not going to be like necessarily all time. Like if you take an all-time running back, you could take him top 5, top 8. But as you said, you don't want to take the 6th best running back at number 8 overall. So I think Gibbs here was a pretty good pick. I don't know, I just think taking Gibbs here was kind of weird at the time. He was supposed to be a round 2 guy, but obviously it worked well for them.
Yeah. I also gave it an A. I was kind of looking at it while you were talking about Skoronski, just being like, oh, I might have wanted to do A- because we had Bijan, but I still feel pretty decent about it because I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is a tier above Bijan Robinson, very easily. This is a guy that, like, obviously he's in a really good situation. No one's denying that, but this is a guy that, like, when the few times he's gotten the opportunity to run the offense, like, dude, he runs the offense. Like, this is a guy that I think could be the best running back in the league one day. This is a guy that I think could have been number 2 over Henry. That's how good he would have been if he got the full workload. There's a good chance of that, and I think he could. Continue to get better and better. So, and he's came in, made a difference from day one. He's so lightning fast. He's a great receiving back. I think he averaged 100 and it was like
170 or 160
like total yards. Like, that is an incredible number that just doesn't get talked about enough. And like, there's a big difference between 12 and 8. If we're being like, it doesn't sound that much, but that's like a big difference ultimately in picks. And this is where you can start thinking about taking those really good running backs. The top 3 running back is worth it at 12, in my opinion. And also, we have to kind of talk about the team situationally. We were talking about how, this Falcons team needed to take Jalen Carter my next pick, which I really do think they should have. But this is the Lions team that was really setting themselves up for a really good future. They have been for a while, and they killed the rest of this draft. They were really able to make the rest of this draft count and just get players that they all needed. And that made this pick even better, in my opinion, because you got a player that you needed or that you could fit into your offense really well when you didn't have a ton of big other needs that you could have filled with this pick, or a huge need that went the very next pick like they did with Jalen Carter. So I think that makes the pick better than Bijan for those that are really mad. The grade's so much higher. But number 13, we have the Packers, Lucas Van Ness.
I was not very happy with the pick, if you remember at the time.
I remember.
Yeah. I think he might have been number 1 on my do not draft list for the Packers. But we ended up taking him, and he's gotten, I think, 6.5 sacks both the past 2 seasons. And he's a good run defender, to be fair, for an edge rusher. But taking an edge rusher at 13, you want him to be able to rush the passer at at least a slightly above average level, and he's not. He's not even average yet.
Nowhere near.
He looked really good like the two games after we traded Preston Smith, but then kind of fell off back to what he was before. And I think he has a really good shot at putting it back. Not a really good shot, but he has a good shot at putting it back together, becoming a good player, which is why it's still a C-. I think this is what the grade I gave it at the time, and he's kind of done what I expected. He was supposed to have a slow start, but like I hoped by this point I'd see some signs.
I ended up giving it a D.
That's fair.
Mainly because this is a guy that, like you said, you kind of expected this to happen, but at the same time, you want to see more. You want more out of him, and obviously he's been much better than a guy like Tyree Wilson. That's why it's higher. And he's shown more. However, like, if he played like this the rest of his career, this is easily a D pick, if not lower.
Yeah, well, I don't think it'd be enough because he's at least
but
good
it
enough
might
to get on the field.
It might be a D minus. Like, he's not a good player right now, like, at all. I think he's a bad pass rusher right now. He's been good in the run defense game, but like not great or anything, nothing special. This is a guy that on a lot of teams he's not playing.
He's getting snaps on every team, but he's not.
No, he's not.
He definitely.
He would not get snaps on the Denver Broncos.
He's getting snaps.
I promise you he wouldn't. Over who?
Who gets snaps? Wait.
Over who? He plays.
No, he's not starting. Obviously.
He doesn't play edge, right? He plays end.
He plays edge.
I thought he played.
He can play. He can play any
4-3
position on the
or
defensive
3-4
line.
end.
He can play edge.
He plays
defensive
3-4 end
He can
mainly,
play
though,
DT.
right?
He can play wherever he wants.
Okay, well, he's definitely not playing at edge.
He does play edge.
No, I'm talking for the Broncos. For the Broncos, he's definitely not playing at edge.
He's getting some of Franklin Myers snaps. No, like he's not starting, or he could get 5 snaps.
No, but we already have another guy playing.
Who?
I never know how to pronounce his name.
The UFL guy.
Like, no. That's an edge rusher.
Okay, he gets snaps over him at edge.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes,
I think he's better
100%
than Van Ness.
No, he's not.
He rarely ever plays too, and he gets he's been really good. My point is if he plays 3 snaps a game, like it's not good. That's a bad player.
I know.
Especially for a first round pick.
You're putting him on a crowded defensive line though. Like that's what you're.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying on some teams he wouldn't really get opportunities. Because he's just not good right now. And like you said, the reason it's a D for me is because there's still a chance he could be okay. But I really think he's playing at a D minus level right now. And it just depends if he's really going to get more. I don't know. If he doesn't put it together this year, I don't know how many more opportunities he's going to get.
Yeah, I mean, this is his best opportunity.
Right. And so, this is a really big make or break year for him. And, he could really help this defense a lot. but the chances of that happening are definitely more favored to the no side. So I'm not super excited for him. Obviously, as a Packers hater, I'm not mad at it or anything. But
well, when you're trying to find breakout candidates, the way I find them is I find players that are going to get the opportunity. He's starting, so he's got a good opportunity there. But yeah,
but he's starting 100% edge or end?
100% starting edge.
Really?
He plays edge.
He's starting edge over who? Who played last year over him?
He started once we traded Preston Smith.
Towards the end of the year, he started. I did not know that. I thought he was the
We
third
don't have
guy.
anyone else. Can you name another edge rusher on a team?
Gary.
Like besides?
Well, I can name one more.
We drafted a couple of rookies. We got like Brenton Cox Jr. Like Brenton Cox Jr. is underrated.
I don't know. I'm not impressed by him so far, obviously. But number 14, we got Broderick Jones. What'd you
Give
give
it an F.
Yeah, me too.
He sucks. They needed him to work out like so badly. Can you tell me? Do you know who their tackles are? Like I honestly don't. Like Dan Moore left. He's on the Titans now. Who did they sign someone or they draft?
I actually don't know.
They had to have drafted someone, right? They didn't.
You would hope so.
They didn't use their first round pick on one. I don't remember, but their tackles are not good anymore, and they need Broderick Jones to step up, and he has looked terrible.
So bad.
Dan Moore obviously got paid $20 million, but he's not that kind of player. He got benched for Dan Moore because he was playing at such a bad level. He is so bad. Like I cannot emphasize how bad of a player he is, and he's probably the worst pick we talked about. So like the worst pure player that we talked about, unless you're counting Anthony Richardson. Which I guess you kind of have to.
It's one of those two.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't really have much to add just besides the fact that he's just garbage. Like he's so bad. It's like when I'm watching football games, unless I'm looking for a specific thing, if I'm watching my team or watching a specific player, like I almost never, like if I'm just watching a game for fun, I almost never pay attention to the offensive line. I'm watching the actual game. I'm not looking at the offensive line that often. Somehow Broderick Jones makes me notice him on almost every single snap. He's always getting blown by. He's always holding. He's always doing something wrong. And it's like every single time he plays, he's the center of attention, but not in a good way at all. And so that's how you know he's just absolute garbage. I think if you gave an F-, it's not a terrible take. Like that's how bad he is.
Still has a chance.
Yeah, the tiniest chance ever. And so I just think this is not a good player. But number 15, a decent player at least. We got Will McDonald.
I gave it a B+. Mm-hmm. Is he the best edge rusher? I think he's the best edge rusher taken after Will Anderson, right? I think he's the only one.
Him or Nolan Smith probably.
Yeah, Will McDonald's definitely better. He had 10.5 sacks this year, 6th in pressure rate. He was just a really good pass rusher this year. And one of the reasons why this is so low and only a B+ in my opinion is because he was 6th in pressure rate, but like Jermaine Johnson when he was playing like a year or two ago, he looked good when he got the opportunity. Bryce Huff looked really good on that team, and then he goes to the Eagles, looks terrible. Maybe that system with Robert Saleh was really good, and we'll see this year. Obviously, Robert Saleh is not there anymore, and I guess he did play well after Robert Saleh, now that I'm thinking about it. Mm-hmm. But maybe the Jets system's just really good. And he's not the best run defender. He missed a lot of tackles. Yeah. But as a pure pass rusher, he's definitely the second best in the class, unless there's someone later round. But good pick here at 15. Like, pass rushers down the board do not pan out normally. Normally, you got to spend a top 10 pick on one. So, good pick for the Jets.
Yeah. Agree with almost everything that you said. I gave it a B instead of a B+, but this is a guy that could easily take another big step this upcoming year and just be... I think, just a lot better. But I think he had a really hot start to the year, unless I'm mistaken, like sacks-wise. I think he was leading the league for a little while, a few weeks. I think he got like 5 or 6 in just the first few weeks, and that like jumped him out to an early lead. Or maybe he was second behind Hutch. I can't remember. But
I think Hutch was definitely first.
I just remember him having a really hot start to the year. Obviously, that was with Robert Saleh, so maybe that had something to do with it. This is a good pass rusher, like you said, and a really good player, but I think he needs to take another step, obviously, and that's what you kind of expect. But like you said, is it the system? What are we going to see this next couple season? And so I feel like a B was a safe spot because I'm not really sure where he's going to go from this point because I can see him going either way. But he has shown a lot of really good stuff in the pass rush game specifically. Number 16, though, we have Emmanuel Forbes. What you got to say about him?
It's the worst pick I've ever graded. Like, genuinely, I think I had a third or fourth round grade on him. I never understood it. Makes 0 sense. We basically, I think Will Levis is the only reason why he got drafted up here. I think he picked off Will Levis twice. One of them was a stupid play in the red zone. I don't even know why people are glazing that. Like, I would have picked six that. Like, it's not hard. It's not hard when a player's like trying to. I don't even know what Will Levis was doing.
You
that
definitely
game.
would have got caught
Anyway.
from behind.
Hey. That's me. He's such a bad player, and in the NFL, even worse. Like, I expected him to be better than this. I expected him to make their team after 1.5 seasons still.
Mm-hmm.
He got cut mid-season. I think it was after, like, game 4. Like, that's how bad he's been. He's one of the worst run-defending corners of all time, basically. And he just gets torched by any physical receiver. Like, A.J. Brown had, like, 180 yards on him. So he's just such a bad player. One of the worst players to be drafted in the first round in recent memory. Maybe the worst.
For a team to give up on their first round pick, the top half of the first round, before a season and a half is over, you know you gotta suck like a really bad. And I think so. I give an F minus. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I give it.
I think that this is so bad, and like it's an F minus just off the player. Then you look at who went next.
And Christian Gonzalez was supposed to go top 10.
It's
He was
like
supposed to be the number one corner off the
it's
board.
like, what are you doing? It makes absolutely no sense. Like you said, you covered it really well. This guy just sucks. No shade to Emmanuel Forbes, even though we throw him plenty of it, but he's just not meant to be a first round pick. Definitely should have been a late round guy, and been fighting for snaps, not getting the opportunity to start. So, not a great player. But let's talk about an actually really good player at number 17. What grade did you give him? I'm guessing A+.
Easy A+.
Yeah.
I really liked him coming out. He's got the size, got the athleticism, and he's put it all together in the NFL, being one of the best corners in the NFL. Going at 17 is crazy. Should have always been a top 10 pick. I mean, you look at the teams that needed corners that all went before, like Emmanuel Forbes. Packers should have taken him. You got Devon Witherspoon somehow going at 5.
Yeah.
Like, getting him at 17 makes 0 sense why no one else wanted him. He had no red flags, and it's just such a good pick. Probably the best value pick besides Jalen Carter in the draft.
Yeah. Definitely. Probably the best value pick besides Carter. Gonzalez is just so good. Definitely arguably already a top 5 corner in the league. And corner is one of those positions that you want to give time to let them develop, and he's developed so quickly. Easy A+ for me as well because, like I said, just really a phenomenal player. I don't really have any more to say about that. That just like this is a guy that like should have gone so much higher. And the fact that 2 players at his position went before him when he was the clear number 1 to go off the board, and then is by far the best player out of the 3 of them, especially when you're talking about the guy who went right before him. It's just absolutely insane and just really fun to look back on. And I'd be really sad if I was a Commanders fan. But number 18, we got Jack Campbell.
I gave it a B-. I know a lot of people really like Jack Campbell. Think he's like a top 10 linebacker. I have not seen that. I watched the Lions. I watched the Packers play the Lions. I'm going to be honest. I did not notice Jack Campbell when we played them twice. He did not show up. Like, I noticed Anzalone just because of his hair. So, like, maybe that's why. But Jack Campbell is not, like, a crazy difference-making linebacker. The track record of taking linebackers in the first round is genuinely terrible right now. And obviously, he's worked better than, like, almost any that I can think of. But he's a fine linebacker, and I think he'll get better. I think he'll definitely be at least a somewhat difference-making linebacker. But linebacker is not a very valuable position. Super easy to find good linebackers. I mean, the Packers have, like, 4. So, like, I don't know. It's not the best pick, but you still got a good player. Similar to the Devon Witherspoon conversation.
Yeah, I gave it a B instead of a B-. I agree with you in a lot of those. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be a superstar, never going to be a game-changing guy. But this is a solid linebacker, and he's going to be that way for his whole career. He's a little bit less athletic than you want him to be, but that doesn't make him a bad player. He's just a gritty guy that will just keep playing well for his whole career. I don't think he's going to be a superstar, though.
Yeah.
But number 19, we have Kalijah Kancey.
I give it a B. I liked him coming out. Just Aaron Donald type build, muscular, like 289. I don't know how big he is, but he's a very small DT, and he wins with speed and power sometimes. It's a little bit underrated in his game. You haven't seen it as much in the NFL level as he did in college, but hasn't quite put together everything. but still a decent player. Definitely a good pass rusher from the defensive tackle position. And I think this year he's going to be a very good player for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I mean, you hope he takes a big step
Mm-hmm.
this season. But like you said, he's kind of shown signs, of what you want. I give it a B as well. He's also, been kind of playing, next to Vita Vea his whole career. You're going to see if he, gets that mentoring, takes that next step, or if he's going to, continue to kind of ride behind them. You want him to kind of break out on his own right this season. So we'll have to wait and see if that happens. Number 20, though, we have I think this is the first receiver taken.
Yeah, it is.
JSN.
Yeah. I give it an A. I guess you could argue A plus because it's at 20, but he's kind of played like a slot guy. He's not like a prototypical number one. I think I had him as like, I don't know, in the teens of receivers.
Yeah.
He's a good player. He was very productive last season. Definitely my favorite receiver when I was scouting. I was hoping the Packers took him with Lucas Van Ness. But it's funny, the two players that are in the second half of the draft that like turned out amazing are the two I wanted at 13.
And you
Just
took
realizing that
Lucas
right
Van
now.
Ness.
Yeah, but he's a really good player, and I really like him. But he's not shown to be like a top 10 receiver or anything yet. So
Yeah, I had him in the teens as well. I gave it an A minus, just because he's not he's the first receiver taken off the board. Obviously, he still took him by 20, but you still took a first receiver off the board, and obviously he was the best one. I think he was the best one, but he's not I wouldn't use the word superstar on him. He's not a top 10 guy. Like you say, he's not a prototypical number one, so that kind of does bring the value down a little bit in a lot of GM's eyes, drafting guys. So, maybe who knows how long it would have been before somebody else took him. Nobody really knows. I mean, there's a lot of receivers going,
Definitely
so maybe
pick.
they would have taken him. But based on who they took with the next pick, I don't think they would have taken him.
the next after that, then
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good argument. But I don't know. I just think, you still want him to take another step this season before I want to give it any higher. Like, I think, you got a guy like Christian Gonzalez. Like, that's an easy A plus because this is a guy that's, already might be top 5 at his position, a franchise player for a long time. JSN's a guy that's like a really good player, not a superstar, not top 10 at his position, and, just not quite there yet. But he's still a really, really good player.
yeah.
Number 21, though, we got Quentin Johnston.
I give this a D. It's like if he could catch the ball, he would have gotten like 900 yards last season. Like he gets open good for his size, I guess. Always seems to be in position to make a big play. It's just like we always remember it because he didn't make the big play. I liked him coming out, obviously. Good athlete, good size, just a good prospect to take a shot on. He didn't have drop issues that were at least like concerning in college. And comes into the NFL, just can't catch the ball, especially that second season. Yeah. But I give it a D because I still think he has a chance to be a good player. I think Trey Harris being drafted might hurt that a little bit, but they don't really have a third receiver anyway, so he's still going to get on the field. And he just needs to learn how to catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I also gave it a D, mainly for the same reasons. Like, this is a guy that, like you said, he's gotten the opportunity. He's gotten himself in the position to make the play. He just can't. But, like, he's got good size. He's a good athlete. Like, he's got the ability to be what you wanted him to be when you took him. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's losing kind of opportunities now, drafting Trey Harris, like you said. But I still think, there's a small chance that he can turn into something. Maybe when he goes to a new team, he finds a better system for him or something. But he's got to work on his hands. He's got to stop dropping the ball. Because it feels like the biggest plays I ever see from Quentin Johnston are like, look how funny he dropped this ball. Like, I don't ever really see him making the big play. And, like, that kind of makes him look worse than he is, maybe. But I think that ultimately when you're, like, an average receiver that drops every single time that you need a big play or that you need this one specific catch, that makes you a bad player because you're not like a superstar who isn't clutch. You're just like a below average role player that isn't clutch. So it's kind of just a weird situation for him.
He's
but
not just not clutch. He's like the opposite.
he gets worse in the big moment. But yeah, I mean, I just think like you said, like he's got the opportunity to put himself in position a lot, but it just like it's going to be harder for him to fix that giant issue. Number 22 though, we have Zay Flowers. This might be a hot
It's a
take.
controversial one. The video I watched gave an A or A plus, and I was like, wait, what? I mean, he's a Pro Bowler, I guess, but I give it a B minus. This is kind of what I expected from Zay Flowers to do, just be like a 900-yard-ish receiver. I want him to be a number 2. He should not be a number 1. It doesn't make any sense why they drafted him to be their number 1, in my opinion. They need to get someone else in there to make Zay Flowers not their number 1. Like, he's not a good prototype for it. He's not even like good enough at his prototype for it to work out like JSN is. But I mean, he's shown out to be a good player. Obviously, he's their best receiver somehow. But yeah, taking that at 22, it's not like a crazy pick like a lot of people seem to think it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's that crazy of a pick either. I think it's just a solid pick. I give it a B.
Yeah.
A little bit higher than you, but like this was a good receiver last season. But like he should have been good in the system. He should have been way better in the system. That this is an A+ pick. Like this dude should have had 300 more yards in that system if this is an A+ pick. At least like Lamar and Henry make it so easy for you to do whatever the frick you want. Like you can eat in that offense so easily. With how much Lamar ate, it's kind of crazy to look at all their stats and be like, wow, just no one like specifically ate. Like just the whole team. He just made the whole team so much better, right? And I think Zay Flowers really does get benefited from that. I think if he, got drafted to, let's say the Seahawks, I think that, we're talking about JSN as an easy A+, when I feel like a lot of people wouldn't put him there. And I think that we're talking about Zay Flowers as maybe even just like a C. In a worse situation for him. I think that he could look a lot worse. This is not a bad receiver, but like you said, he's never going to be a 1. You need somebody else in there, and I think he can be a good number 2. I just don't think he's ever going to be like a crazy number 2, and I don't think he's ever going to be good enough to be a 1. Number 23, though, we have another receiver, Jordan Addison.
Give it a B-. I think if he went somewhere else, it would have been a higher grade. I like Jordan Addison as a player, but like he's their number 2 receiver. Basically, their number 3-ish option in the pass game if you count Hawkinson above him. But there's been so many games I've watched. I feel like he cooks us more than Jefferson, it feels like. I don't know why, but Addison just seems to be way better when he plays against us. I think he had 140 yards in their last game against us. If he went to the Ravens, I think this is probably an A at least. But obviously, he doesn't have that same kind of opportunity. He doesn't get those same plays schemed up for him that Zay Flowers does, or like a quarterback that makes those plays, gets outside of the pocket to get you even more time to get open. He's also not a prototypical number 1, which is why it's good that he's number 2. But taking number 2 at 23, it could be better.
I do think he's a number 2. I think he's a really good number 2, though. Gave it a B+. Only reason being, or main reason being, I think he's a better receiver than Zay Flowers right now. And I think if he got the opportunity, he'd easily perform better than Zay Flowers. So because of that, I feel like getting it one pick later, I feel like I had to give it a higher grade than I gave Zay Flowers for the pick before. So I ended up giving it B+. You gave B- then B. So I think it's very similar. I just ended up giving Zay Flowers 1 grade higher. But like you said, he's a really good number 2, but he's never really going to be a number 1, just like Flowers. So it's like it's only a okay to good pick because you took a number 2 in the first round. So, but number 24, we have going back to corner. We got Deonte Banks.
I think this is a similar one to Lucas Van Ness, where they really needed him to perform and he hasn't. But he's a talented player. He wasn't supposed to be great immediately, even though his rookie season he wasn't bad. The last year was kind of concerning, and they've done a lot to get a better secondary. Like they had drafted Andrew Phillips last season. I think they drafted someone else high up in this draft, in the second round, I believe. I can't remember who. But now Deonte Banks is their 3rd corner. Hopefully he can break out. He's obviously super athletic, prototypical shutdown number 1 corner, but hasn't shown that. He's gotten beat a lot. I still think he has potential to be a very good corner, though, so I still gave it a C-.
I also gave it a C-. I think, just everything you said, he's super, super athletic. This is a guy, and he plays the position, one of those, very few positions where it's if you're bad your first 2 seasons, you could still be a superstar later in your career. So, this is similar to, we were talking about with a couple other players. This is just a year too early to grade him. Reason I'm giving a C- is because, I don't want to give it the average grade of, oh, you're a C because I don't really know what you're going to do. Because he has looked not great so far. So you got to lower it a little bit. But this is a guy who could literally still be a superstar in this league. That's how much potential he still has. So it's, I don't want to give it a D yet because, he could still be really good. Number 25, though, this might be another controversial
This
one.
is going to be
We have Dalton Kincaid.
Give it a C+. He's not a top 10 tight end in the NFL. And when you're taking a tight end in the first round, you want them to be top 8,
I'd say
maybe
top
even
5. Yeah, I'd say top 5.
And he just hasn't been that. And I know everybody His rookie year was like, oh, he's going to get 900 yards. He's going to get 1,000 yards this past season. He's going to get 1,000 yards. Kind of gets like 600, I believe, both seasons. With Josh Allen at quarterback, who everybody loves, that doesn't seem to be that good, only getting 600 yards, especially when they don't have a number one receiver. And everybody wants to say, Kincaid's their number one target. Well, then why can't he out-receive Khalil Shakir, who no one likes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. I still think he could be a good player, and C+ is still, like, obviously not a bad pick, but I definitely had higher expectations for Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, I think everyone did, and I think people still do for some reason. But we also like don't like hold him to the expectations for some reason. Like so many people are like,
weird.
"Oh, you underwhelmed me by 400 yards." Well, I still love you. Like it's so weird. But like I also gave it a C+ because I think he's just a mid tight end, and like if you take maybe just he's like a little bit above average. We're doing our tight end rankings soon, so I'll see exactly what I think of him. But I think that's around the range he's going to go. I don't think he's going to be a top tight end. And so, like, that just, like, makes you think, like, well, why'd you take him in the first round? Like, tight ends don't go in the first round that often. Like, rarely do you ever see multiple go in the first round. I guess, I don't know why I thought multiple went this first round.
Multiple went this year in real life.
Yeah. But, like, we've seen a lot recently. I think that's why Braven's doing it. We've seen a lot recently go in the first round. But, those are all guys going in the top 10 because these are guys, or, around the top 10. Bowers went a little bit later. But because these are guys that, like, you're like, oh, it's just too hard to pass up this, generational talent. We've had a lot of that recently, He's not that. He's just not that. This was a guy they were like, oh, we could play him a lot in the slot and at tight end. And, like, yeah, he's been fine, but it just hasn't really worked out to the extent they wanted, and I feel like people aren't holding them accountable for that.
Yeah, I mean, this draft class for tight ends is phenomenal. Like, I don't know if you know, Laporta was in this class. Yeah. Michael Mayer, I guess, isn't. I think Michael Mayer would have been better than Kincaid, though, if he went to the Bills.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a hot take.
That's a super hot take.
But
what do you mean you don't know?
Michael Mayer was good when he got to play. Kraft was in this class. Luke Musgrave was in this class. I know he didn't turn out, but that's a good prospect. Strange was in this class. He went in the second round for some reason. This was a very, very loaded, at least where they were drafted, draft class, and obviously there was 2 stars from this class, and it's not Kincaid.
Yeah, I think that sums it up perfectly. But number 26, we have Mozzie Smith.
F.
Yeah,
so bad.
I also gave it an F.
I think he was like 320. He was thick. He was big at college. And then they wanted him to slim down so he could rush the passer. Slim down, then couldn't stop the run. So now they have a guy who can't stop the run or rush the passer. Instead, when they were trying to fix a problem, they just made another problem. So I guess when he tried to put the weight on again, he still wasn't good. So he just hasn't ever performed, and hopefully he can figure it out. But
it doesn't look like
seems so unlikely.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add to that. He's just not good. Number 27, though, we have Antoine Harrison.
He's been fine, so I give it a C+.
I also gave it a C+.
He has not, like, he's been worse than any of the tackles. He's worse than Darnell Wright, who I gave a B-. And this is all the way down here, so he's significantly worse, but
it is way lower.
He's been at least below average, which for a tackle taken at 27, only 2 years to develop, that's fine. Obviously, you hope he takes a step this year. I think this is a year too early to grade him, but it's not like we've seen any, like, flashes of him being, like, a star tackle or anything.
Yeah, just been below average.
Yeah.
Well, number 28, we have Myles Murphy.
I gave him an F. This is not a good draft class, especially at the end.
Yeah, this last, 6 picks, most of them are actually garbage. We're going to see a lot of low grades
actually
here.
above average grade was in Jigba. Above.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
I have one more grade that's pretty decent.
Interesting.
Here.
Yeah, he has not been productive. They need him to be productive so badly right now. They don't want to pay Trey Hendrickson. They don't want to sign their first-round pick. So you hope Myles Murphy obviously performs, but he hasn't. There's a reason why they took a pass rusher in the first round this year, because he has not performed through his first 2 years of his NFL career, and now he's basically their only happy edge rusher on their team, and he sucks. So.
The reason he's happy is because he might get an opportunity to play when he doesn't deserve it.
And he's getting a bunch of money.
Yeah, so we'll see. Based on how things are going with their other players, it looks like he's probably going to get another opportunity to play. And so maybe he can put something together, but he's just been absolute garbage through his first 2 seasons. So nothing to give him even the D minus because he has not shown a single thing. Number 29 though, this is a really weird player, Ryan Brzee. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
Yeah, I gave it an F. I don't feel like I can get him on the field. Like, with how bad he is at tackling. I know he had 8 sacks last year. Like, that sounds really good in theory, but his pass rush win rate and stuff, it's average. So he's getting a bunch of, like, sacks he isn't going to get, like, just lucky sacks. And he missed so many tackles.
Terrible.
His run defense grade on PFF was, like, so bad. It was, like, 25 or something.
I
He
didn't
had
even know it
4
goes that low.
tackles. He had 4 tackles that weren't sacks.
Yeah, that is. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, how do you get that many? Like, he played a lot of snaps,
Yeah, I've
and-
never seen that before.
and he gets 4 normal tackles. As a DT, you're supposed to be stuffing the run. That's, like, basically your main job. I just don't feel like that's a guy, as a coach, who I could feel comfortable putting on the field.
Yeah, I didn't really D minus. I gave him cut him a little bit of slack because obviously, sacks aren't everything. I think we get caught up in that a lot. Players get overrated because they get a couple lucky sacks here and there. We saw a guy like Kyle Van Noy get double-digit sacks this season. So
Back-to-back years.
yeah, so it's not like out of the picture. Like it's a lot situationally, scheming, all those things. But he has been a decent to good pass rusher very early into his NFL career here. And you don't see pass rushing DTs that often. I feel like most of them are run stopping DTs. So if he can learn anything about stopping the run or tackling, then he could at least be okay. So like it could be okay. And with how bad this class is, an okay player here would actually be pretty good.
Well,
So
his upside is like a low-end player who you stick on the field on 3rd down.
I still think he could be like an average DT. Like
He has to learn how to tackle.
yeah, if he hit his ceiling. But
His
like
ceiling is learning how to tackle.
that's why I
That's
have him at a
crazy.
D minus. Like that's not good. I just think there's a tiny chance, and we've been giving people with tiny chances D minuses. So that's what I continued with.
Yeah, I guess it's fair.
But number 29, this is my number 30. This is my last decent grade of the draft. We got Nolan Smith.
I give it a B minus. I
That's above average grade.
No, I said like good grade. B minus is average for me.
Okay.
So I gave a couple B minuses after Njigba, but I don't know why. I don't feel like anybody was talking about him until the playoff run. Like, was he not playing?
I don't think he got a ton of play time.
Against the Packers, to be fair, he was really good.
He's really good.
But that was in the Super Bowl. I didn't feel like he made a big impact. That was Josh Sweat. He's been a fine pass rusher, and now he's their best pass rusher because they lost Josh Sweat, and Bryce Huff got traded, and he did not work out there. He's just not like phenomenal or anything. He's been a fine player, so taking that at 30, it's good value, but nothing crazy.
I end up giving a B plus actually, mainly because so I hate prospects like this. They're like really athletic but didn't do
Yeah, he's
that
not
much.
really that athletic. Like, he's athletic.
Well, he was
but he's
athletic
small.
with a lot of upside and didn't do a lot in college. Like I hate those types of prospects. But he's a rare exception where it kind of started working. This season he took a big step. He when he got on the field, obviously, like you said, he didn't get talked down much before the playoffs. He didn't get a ton of playing time before that. Like, obviously that's a really crowded defense to be on with any position, really. So he's getting, off and on the field a lot. But in that playoff run, he played really well against the Packers. Just shows a lot of flashes. Now, like you said, like he's going to get a lot more opportunity this season with people leaving. But so I think this is kind of, quote unquote make or break season for him. I don't know if it's necessarily a break season, but this is like a season we expect you to take a pretty big step here if you're going to be a good pass rusher in this league. But he's got the athleticism. He's got the ability. He just needs to put it all together now and be really consistent with it. And so I really think he easily could be on a really good defense. I just think he's in a really good situation. So it's going to be easier for him to put it together. And if you can get a really good pass rusher at 30, it's a good pick. And with the last pick in the draft, because of the Dolphins tampering, we have Felix Ndike Uzama. I gave it an F. What'd you give
Me
it?
too.
Yeah.
I've never seen a first-round pick get less attention. Like, I've not heard a thing. I had to do research before this to figure out what he's been doing. I've not heard a thing about him since he got drafted. Obviously, it's a 31st pick, but he's on the Chiefs. You think people would want to talk about
You
him?
think I would know who he is?
Yeah.
Him being on the Chiefs stuff. But I don't think I've ever noticed him in a game.
Yeah, well, he has like 3 career sacks.
And most of his playing time came when he played us in Week 18 when they sat all their starters. So
I just don't understand. Like, I didn't know who this guy was on draft day, I don't think. And he goes at 31. I think he went to Kansas, so it was like everyone was like, ooh, local guy. But hasn't worked out.
local guy.
But I've not heard a thing about him since he got drafted, which is insane. You'd
Yeah.
think on the Chiefs he'd either get insane hype for being good or showing flashes, or insane hype for being garbage.
Mahomes doesn't have
But
any help on defense.
I guess he just doesn't play, so he doesn't get any.
There's nothing to say about him if he's a
Yeah,
bench
that's-
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the last pick. So is there anything else that we need to add?
No.
All right. Well, we appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you go subscribe, like the video, leave us a comment what we got right and what we got wrong, and have a good one.